that we can discuss the Brent last day financial that states today that per barrel price to be $109 in trading. That is already an increase from last week's $104 that we have seen. Prices going up almost every commodity, as Norman was saying, that people have stopped payments on their debt or their loan defaultation as well. And Donald Trump did say on board Air Force One that China is agreeing to buy almost 200 Boeing aircraft with potential commitment to buy another 700 planes. That is a huge deal in terms of the tariff situation with China and the United States. I want to get a know-how. How are you feeling regarding the two leaders? And of course, as Norman was stating, Vladimir Putin of Russia is going to visit this week with Xi Jinping in China. How do you see it?
Well, I have a little bit of different take on the winners and losers that came out of that meeting. You mentioned Boeing. Let's start with that.
Please.
The initial target was that there was an agreement to buy 500 planes, and they only bought 200. So there was less delivery than they had thought. Okay, and of course we're talking about delivery of planes now, like in 2031. You know, it's 5 years later before they deliver the plane. So I don't think they got enough out of what they planned on the trade side other than agricultural. Soybeans, beef, clearly were going to be increased. But for the guy that was like rubbing China's nose in the tariffs, 50%, 100%, I'm in charge, I'm the boss, to all of a sudden now go there and just like very meekly settle for like agreements on all of these so-called reduced tariff deals, tells you a little bit about who won that. If there was something like a conflict, who won that conflict? And I thought it was extremely interesting. We talked about the Thucydides trap.
Right.
That it was brought up by Xi himself. And in doing so, he acknowledged that the United States was the hegemon. You are still number one, but please don't worry about us. We're number two and rising, but we have no intention and no interest. Don't see us as an enemy. See us as a rival, deal with this in a conventional way, but don't go to war. Now, Graham Allison's analysis of the Thucydides trap was that 12 out of the 16 situations where an emerging country was challenging a rising country, in those 12 situations, they did in fact go to war. So avoiding the war is what he's emphasizing, okay, to Trump. Don't worry about us. Clearly, we're going to rise. We're going to get bigger. It's in our, it's in our interest. That's our policy. That's our strategy. One of the things that also people don't realize is that by 2050, China is supposed to have a population of 800 million. That's nearly a 40% decline in the current population.
Right.
The replacement rate there is nowhere near enough to replace the number of Chinese in the population. So they'll have a lower population, but a bigger economy, more industrialization. They will be a very, very real power with less poverty. So, but for Xi to bring it up, to me was a remarkable recognition that, okay, you're number one, we're number two, cool your jets, no need to get worried about us in this kind of a deal. I thought that all the other stuff about like working with them on reducing the conflict in Iran, just vague generalities and empty words, okay? I think that Iran is playing that Strait of Hormuz card extremely well with respect to China.
Right.
30 ships came through the strait this weekend, all of them Chinese flagged. That's an indication that they have worked out some arrangement with China to let those ships pass. China also is willing to buy more American fuel. We have a lot of it, and so that's a positive as well. But I think it's only logical for them to try, it's an international waterway, but I think it's only logical for Iran to try to impose some sort of toll on the ships that pass through between Oman and their own territory, and to use this money for reconstruction. I mean, they've been bombed into wherever, but the fact of the matter is that they need to have some revenue flow apart from just simply going to the international community and begging for money. So I'm very sympathetic to the fact that they're charging a toll to go through the straits, go through the strait, in order to be able to raise funds for reconstruction.
Right.
So I thought that there was nothing particularly new. Everything China said was what they had already said. We're opposed to a nuclear bomb in Iran. We're opposed to blocking the economic strait.
Right.
So, you know, in the end of the day, I think that if you looked at objectively, sometime during the second day, I mean, if you looked at Xi's face, he was standing there looking at Trump, but in his mind he was saying, "Who's your daddy?" They definitely schooled Trump, in my opinion, on this whole trip. They'll spin it, they'll come up with something, but I think China really, really managed the situation extremely well. And I don't know whether Trump's advance team did a good enough job or not, but you don't go in telling people you're going to sell 500 airplanes and sell 200.